This weekend, we are going to talk about three topics. The first one is beyond ESOPs, where we will talk about how you, as a non-resident Indian, can diversify your wealth across the Indian market and take advantage of India's growth story. The second is green hydrogen, where we will dwell into the promising world of green hydrogen and its pivotal role in transition to sustainable energy. The third is an overview on hybrid funds, where we will look at hybrid funds and whether it is the right time to invest in them and are they better than equity funds. So, if you are interested in any of them, click on the description below to register.
Actually, it started a little lower, and I have seen it in the earliest phase in two other groups also. One is the LG group in Coimbatore, and the other is the TVS group. I think you could predict that they will pay first 20% of profits as dividend, and then when dividend became tax free, they were moving it up to 25%. Most of the companies stuck to 25%. In fact, it took the government a good 25 years to come to the same place and say that you must pay at least 25%. Now it's 30, I believe. But the payout ratio as a corporate governance metric insisted upon by the promoter and explicitly made known to shareholders is such a wonderful expectation setting technique.
No, Shyam, it's also a fantastic way for a person to retire. A person who has annual expenses of 5 lakhs and if he has annual dividends of 6 lakhs, believe me, he can retire because dividends will almost always grow at a rate faster than inflation. So this year he's got 6 lakhs, he's withdrawn 5 lakhs, so 1 lakh has got reinvested. Next year he'll definitely get, say, almost 7 lakhs. Suppose there's a 15% jump in dividends. He'll get 7 lakhs, his expenses will go up only by 7% because of inflation. I am just assuming. So your income will grow at a higher rate than your expenses. It's a fantastic and a convenient way for a person to retire. And at the age of 75 or 80, he can decide to take some of the capital and convert it into a bank deposit, because after that portfolio appreciation may not be much material, but the dividends will continue. It is one of the safest, best ways to retire for people who have money, because you have to build this portfolio over a long period of time. Just when you are retiring and you have 3 crores, you cannot build a dividend yield portfolio for your retirement. But if you start at 45, you can easily build a dividend yield portfolio with which you can retire. That's a huge thing in a country where there are no social security benefits and you don't know how long you will live. If you are living on a dividend yield portfolio, even if you lived in 114, you don't have to worry, because every year the dividends are going up faster than your expenses. This is very useful for that person also. It is not just for the youngsters.
I'm going to give you another technique which I learned from my mentor, but I practiced it even more diligently. In 1990, on a lazy afternoon, my mentor was sitting and writing out his entire portfolio and writing out how much dividend he will get from each stock, and then totaling the amount and then estimating his total dividend. And then he called his wife and told her that this much dividend will come for us this year. I was just sitting and observing. After she left, I asked him, what is this? Why are you so keen about dividend? Isn't capital appreciation more important than this? The usual aggression of age, fearlessness was making me ask this question. He coolly told me, look, I'm a professional. I don't want to go and pester my clients to settle my bills. That was his nature. So their bills will come at its own pace. But I need to have enough money to run my life. So I always calculate this, and I also calculate how much I will get more every year. At the end of every year, I calculate how much more I will get. So I know now what trajectory my dividend will grow. This was the basic. Then later, another investor who is a businessman investor, whom I work very closely with, he would calculate every year what is going to be the dividend by March, because he would have seen all the results. He knows the profit, he knows how much they'll pay out, and he will know how much dividend will come from each company. And he will calculate as estimation, then there'll be another column for actual, and then they'll tally. And as the money comes and hits the account, The accountant will come and give the number and he will square it up saying that this has come and make the entry in his books. Between these two, I created a habit of tracking my dividends. So same thing I do every year. And I calculate what is the growth rate of dividends. Absolute growth rate. Let's say you get 100 rupees this year, next year how much are you going to get more? The year after how much are you going to get more? And when I buy new ideas and I'm evaluating the relative merits of ideas, I would see whether some idea which gives more dividend will also give more capital gains. Sometimes you get the twinning advantage, right? So then we will select the ideas based on both dividend and capital appreciation, which means that twin objective of growth and dividend gets evaluated, measured and judged and actioned in this process which we follow. This is something I learned from these two people and I continue to do it. And dividend is such an important psychological measure, especially in markets where capital appreciation is scarce. For example, in a COVID year, you know what dividend you are getting, and that's a huge consolation. Some companies did withdraw their dividends, but that told you which are the weak companies and which are the strong companies also. So it further validated which are the companies whom you can absolutely trust upon and which are the companies where you need to be cautious. So dividend gives you much more than return. It gives you validation, it gives you direction, and it gives you superior decision making skills, provided you don't look at it in isolation. That is my view.
See, I used to talk about two companies, HDFC Limited and Asian Paints. So both are stable companies. HDFC Limited is stable like a table. Asian Paints is stable like a cycle. When you're riding a cycle, cycle is also stable, but you have to constantly ride it. So some operation, something has to happen constantly in Asian Paints for it to be a stable company and give you dividend. Whereas HDFC Limited, because of the companies it had promoted, mutual fund, insurance, bank, etc., and other portfolio, it was stable like a table, nothing could shake it. So that stability, confidence you get. One more thing about dividend yield, I've had this discussion with Rakesh Junjanwala, and Rakesh gave a simple example. If you have a portfolio of say 50 lakhs and it was giving you dividend yield of say 3 lakhs in terms of absolute rupees, he would say you leverage your portfolio to the extent of say 30 lakhs. Because on 30 lakhs you are going to pay 3 lakhs as interest, assuming 10%. The dividend was going to pay the interest. So your portfolio never troubled you. You did not have to touch your income to pay the interest. So if your portfolio fell and you did not sell out in time, you still were not worried as to from where the interest would be paid. These are very intelligent ways of using dividend. You know, what I call, what Rakesh, I have seen Rakesh do, I am shit scared to leverage. But Rakesh called that responsible leveraging. So if you take a Mukesh Ambani, I'm sure he's doing a responsible leverage, saying from where he's going to get the money to fund a 1.5 lakh crores for Jio. Today Jio is paying him back, but to put 1.5 lakh crores, you need responsible leveraging, using your dividend payout as the interest. You know how much to borrow. So I think there are various ways of using dividend, and these are 2 or 3 ways. And I have known people who have, I mean, my mother gets 100 times more than what my father invested, not 100 times, 200 times more as dividend than what my father invested in one company. So if you are getting 200 times the amount invested as dividend, it really takes your mind off. You don't have to worry. You know, sometime from July to December, you will keep getting those checks. Today it gets credited to the bank, and when you see that amount and say, wow, I didn't pay anywhere near this for it. It's hugely comforting. No other asset yields that. Not your real estate, not your bank deposit, nothing. Nobody can yield, give that kind of returns, even after 25 years. Even after 25 years, the real estate that you bought does not give rent 20 times the cost or 200 times the cost. That happens with dividend yield.
So you have actually laid out the case for loving dividends, responsibly loving dividends, and also growing your portfolio while still loving your dividends. So without compromising on growth, you can still love your dividends. And when you are able to bring that dimension of growth into your dividend investing, you are going to only make more dividend and more growth in a virtuous cycle.
So one more thing which I missed, which I should have said, is what is called DRIP, dividend reinvestment. So if you have invested some money and you get 2 lakhs as dividend, you don't need that money, because for your day-to-day living anyway you have your other income. And with this 2 lakhs, you don't have to wonder what to buy. Just buy that same company which you had bought. So the DRIP return of a Supreme or a Colgate or even an NTPC is much higher than what dividend, what growth it shows. So if somebody tells you that Colgate has underperformed the Sensex, remember that guy is not considering the dividend which Colgate has paid you. So if you use the dividend to buy more shares of Colgate, you have beaten the Sensex. That is how you have to look at it.
That's a very, very optimistic, pragmatic and positive way to close this video on do you love your dividends? The answer is an emphatic yes from both of us, and I'm sure that those who have seen this video would only love their dividends more and responsibly so in the future. Thank you very much, Subra, for this wonderful video.
Thank you.